Hello and welcome. This is Michelle with PaperStampInk. Thanks for stopping by my channel where I'm going to show you how to take these simple supplies and turn them into a fun journal. These are one of my favorite gift-giving items, and they also are a sought-after item at my craft fairs. So we're going to use some pattern paper, some cardstock, and these simple yellow notepads dressed up with some pattern paper on the top to coordinate. I'll also show you how I package them up to get them ready for gift giving or for craft fairs. So let's go ahead and get started. So I have two of these legal pads. These are 5 by, let's see, I think they're 5 by 7, whoops, 5 by 7 3/4 are these legal pads. And you can find these at any of your office supply stores, online. I'll put a link to some of them below if you want to pick up a packet of them. I tend to buy them in large packages, 12 or 24 or even more, and do a lot of them at one time. They work best if you're making 2 of them at a time with the supplies, and I'll explain why as we get into the cutting process. So I have some twine that I'm just going to use as a decorative element in the wrapping. And I have 3 pieces of cardstock. We're going to use 2 for the bases, and then we're going to use this other piece to create the inside pockets for 2 of the designs. And then I have this fun piece of designer series paper. This is retired paper, the animal outing, but you can use, of course, whatever products you have on hand at home. So let's go ahead and get everything cut. And our first cut we're going to have to do is to get the excuse me, the top pieces off for our toppers on the pads, and those are going to be 5 inches by 2 inches. So I'm going to cut this at the 2-inch mark. And then we're going to cut 2 5-inch pieces. If you are doing a lot of these, they're so quick to mass assemble. Just do all of your cutting at once, your scoring at once, and your gluing at once. So they go super duper quick. And then I'm going to take this piece and we're going to cut this down. I want this to be 7 3/4 inches for the height. So make sure you are paying attention to the direction of your papers. So we're going to 7 3/4 tall by 4 7/8 wide. If you're not used to using the 1/8 measurements, that's in between the 3/4 and the 5-inch. And we'll get one more. So we're going to have a little bit of scraps left over, but not a whole lot. So these are great accents for cards if you'd like to make a card to go with your gift item and have it all coordinated. That would be fun. You can just put little accents on there, and maybe I'll do a video using those up later to show you that. I'll put that on my to-do list for the next series. So these are going to be 8 1/8 inch wide. So we're just going to trim a little bit off, and I'm taking 2 of them because we've got 2 bases. So we're just going to cut both of them down at once. So the 8 1/8 and 10 3/4 inch measurements. So again, not a whole lot of excess on this project for your cardstock. Now this next piece, we need 2 pieces that are 8 1/8 by 5 or 2 3/4. So if you double the 2 3/4, that's going to get you the 5 1/2, or you can just do each of them at 2 3/4. So I'm going across this direction first to make my cuts, and the reason I'm doing that is that then at the end I'm going to still have a piece that is 5 1/2 inches wide, so I can use this for a standard size card base or for matting layers. So think about the way you're cutting your paper to get the most out of them. And then we need these to be 8 1/8 inch wide. And these are going to be for, or tall, I should say. These are going to be for the pockets on the inside. And that is all the cutting. And now I'm going to bring out my scoreboard, and we're just going to do a couple of quick scores. And then we're ready to start assembling. These really do go very quickly once you get going. So we're going to do 2 scores on this. We're going to do a score at the 5 1/4 and the 5 1/2 inch along the long side, along that 10 3/4 inch side. And let's go ahead and get our second one in here. 5 1/4 again, and 5 1/2. Now we're ready for some quick assembly. Get all my pieces back out here. You may have noticed I already had put some score tape on these legal pads on the front. So that's going to be where this piece is going to go. So I'm also going to put a piece of score tape along the opposite side. Okay, so if that makes sense, if you're looking at it this way, I'm going to go on the back side at the top and put a piece of score tape along there. I found this is the quickest and easiest way. You could use liquid adhesive, which I use for a lot of things, but it's really, I think, sticks so much better with the score tape. So this is one of those projects, or one of those pieces of project that I prefer to use the score tape on. And we're just gonna take our take your pick tool, place this along that bottom edge there of the brown topper, and we're just going to cover that up. You could, of course, also flip that over and use that other side if you prefer, or use a whole nother coordinating style of paper. And I'm not actually scoring this, I'm just kind of finger folding it around and bending it to the pieces instead of trying to get those precise score lines, because they end up being more along the 1/16 of an inch realm to get them to fit nice and tight. So this fits much more closely in my experience. Let's get the second one on. Let me know in the comments below who you're thinking about making these for yourself, for gifts, or do you do craft fairs? I know it's been a little difficult this year as far as craft fairs, but I know some areas of the country you're able to get out there, and some of the farmers markets and summertime outside craft fairs, or doing some online options. All right, let's pull the second one over. And now we have those pieces ready to go. And actually, I do have 2 more pieces I need to cut. I almost forgot. I am going to use more of this this paper, this cardstock, because I need something to wrap around to hold these in. So I'm going to cut those at 1 inch. And those, again, could be any kind of scraps because you're not going to see much of them, but I do like using the coordinating colors of cardstock. So personal preference, totally up to you. So I'm going to go ahead and do my folds on here, get those started. And I'm just doing a soft fold. You don't want to fold these all the way down, just kind of getting them started. I find it easier to see those score lines when I'm placing my paper on the cover if I've got them already folded. You could also go ahead and assemble this whole thing and then do the covers as well. So it's whatever works best for you in your assembly process. Let's go ahead and take these covers, and I'm going to use some art glitter glue. I do like to use the liquid glue for most of my items. It gives me that ability to just kind of shimmer, and I'm just doing a check to make sure that I've got everything lined out properly before I put the adhesive on. So I know about how much of a border I'm looking for. And now you hear that scraping on there. That's because I'm just using a little bit of the liquid adhesive. You don't need to use too much of this. It's a common mistake, is overdoing it on the adhesive, and then you get the bubbling and things that want to pull up. This stuff has a really great hold. I know it's called art glitter glue. I'll put a link to that below, but there's actually no glitter in it. I'm not really sure why they called it that. I was not in the naming process of the glue, but it's a great adhesive. I get it in bigger bottles. I like to put them into these small bottles with using a little pin in the top to keep it from drying out, and they're just really handy to have around. All right, we're going to take our 2 pieces here, and you can use whatever size punch you want. I like to use the circle punch to just get a little notch for those pockets. Again, that's completely up to you and your personal preference. Let's go ahead and find about the center there. And then we're going to put some adhesive on here. Now, these I did not round the corners. I just kind of, I don't know, I thought this look, the crisp look was nice for this, but you'll notice that on this one I did round both of the right-hand corners on my pattern paper and on my cardstock base, and then again on the pocket. So that's a little bit softer look. It does help if they're getting used, like shoved in a purse or a tote bag. It helps to keep those corners from catching and bending. And my favorite tool for doing those is to use my corner chomper from Crocodile. These are great to have in your stash. If you don't have one, you definitely want to pick one of those up and have it on hand. And I'll put a link for that below as well if you are not familiar with those. You can get them at most of your craft stores or online. All right, just making sure I've got those corners lined up nice. They're wanting to shift on me, so another reason for using this liquid glue. Of course, make sure you're only gluing 3 sides of that when you're putting that glue on, and don't move it too quickly. Give it a little time to adhere, and that will set nicely. Go ahead and do the pocket on the second one, and we're getting close to getting these done. So you can see how quickly these come together. If you want to use score tape, some people like to use the score tape on those. I think you can end up getting sticky edges that can catch on things. I also don't worry, as you saw, about getting exactly to the edge. This is not, to me, a precise fit pocket. I'm not trying to, I just want a little tuck spot, so I'm not worried about if it loses a little bit of room in there because I have it adhered in slightly from the edge. The best way I found to have these little holders put in there, and you could glue this straight onto your cardstock, definitely. And it is, of course, then a one-time use project. But if you want to put a little holder in, I just take and, again, line this up. Kind of don't force it up into the top, but kind of tuck it up in there. And this is going to then allow you to slide this in and out and replace it with another paper pad. So if you're doing this as a gift, you could give them multiple paper pads with the decorative top, or they could just put in one that doesn't have the decorative top and replace it with one from their office store. So I put glue on those flaps, and then I'm just kind of eyeballing where this is going to go. I do want that fairly close up to the top there. We got that one done. Let's get the second one in, and then we're ready for the packaging. I do like the packaging, whether you're doing it as a gift or for sale. Definitely if you're selling these so that they stay in good condition, but I think the packaging looks nice on gifts as well. And it's very simple and easy to do way to dress it up a little bit. All right, let me go ahead and give these a really good crease now that I have this in there. And again, I'm just finger creasing, so that's going to lay a little flatter. All right, so for the decoration, I just like to take and wrap some twine or coordinating ribbon around the project. Let's go ahead and get a bunch of that out, and I'll just package up one of these for you. You can know the process is going to be exactly the same for the next one. So I take and I'm going to give myself plenty of overlap because I'm not that great at tying bows. And I'm just going to wrap this around 3 times. Snip this off here. Tie a little bow. And cut that tail off. Get them a little long. Rather have extra that I cut off than not enough trying to tie those bows. Then we're going to tuck this pin down in there that coordinates. And I use these pockets. I'll put a link for those so that you have these. These are 6x9 pockets. So they give just enough room to shimmy that in there. Go a little slow so you don't move your ribbon too much while you're doing it. Peel that off and fold it over, and now we have this really nice presentation. If you're selling it, you can put your information on the back here, and they're ready to go. So here's our second one, and we made 2 of those in a little over 15 minutes. If I was mass producing these and wasn't trying to talk while I was making them, they go so much faster. So you can make a bunch of these in a short amount of time. I hope that you enjoyed this. If you did, please give me a like, share this video, and subscribe to my channel. I hope you have a great day, and until we meet again, grab your paper, stamp, and ink, and do something creative.